There's this classic story by O. Henry, The Last Leaf, and it gets right to the heart of a really powerful question. How much does our will to live actually matter? It's this incredible tale about hope, despair, and, well, how a single piece of art can literally be the strongest medicine there is. So this quote from the doctor, wow, it really sets the stage perfectly. He basically says right off the bat that this isn't just about a physical sickness. The real fight, it's not happening in her lungs. It's all happening in her head. She's losing the will to live, and no pill he can prescribe is going to touch that.
So, let's dive into the story. We're introduced to Jhansi, a young artist. And yeah, she's got pneumonia, which is serious stuff. But the real disease here, the thing that's truly killing her, is this deep, crushing despair. Okay, so the physical diagnosis is pneumonia. That's clear. But the doctor is adamant. He says her conviction that she's going to die, that's a way more powerful force than anything in his medical bag. She has just completely and totally lost hope.
And her friend Sue, she's just trying everything. She brings her drawing board right into the room, starts whistling, talking about fashion, anything and everything she can think of to try and pull Jhansi back to the world. But nothing. Jhansi just lies there, staring, totally checked out.
And this is where things get, well, really specific. Jhansi's despair finds a target. It latches onto this one thing she can see from her bed, an old ivy vine on the brick wall outside her window. And it becomes this morbid obsession for her. She starts counting the leaves as they fall, and in her mind, she's decided that her own life is tied to them. Every leaf that drops is another piece of her life slipping away. It's like she's created her own fatal countdown. And you can just see her hope vanishing in real time. I mean, think about it. Just 3 days ago, there were almost 100 leaves. This morning, there were 12. Now, only 5 are left. Each one that falls just reinforces what she already believes. She's getting closer to the end. And she says it out loud. Her conviction is just absolute. You can't reason with her, you can't argue. In her mind, it's a done deal. Her life is now completely tied to the fate of that single last leaf. The stakes just got incredibly high. So, with Sue getting more and more desperate, the story pivots a bit. We meet someone new, an old painter named Behrman. He lives downstairs and, well, he's about to become the most unlikely hero you can imagine. And the contrast between these two is just so stark, isn't it? You've got Jhansi, young, so much life ahead of her, and she's just given up. And then you have Behrman, 60 years old, has basically failed his whole life, but he is still holding on to this one dream, to one day paint a true masterpiece. So who is this guy, Behrman? Well, he's kind of gruff. You get the sense he's a bit of a failed artist. For 40 years, he's been talking about this masterpiece he's going to paint, but it's never happened. It's just a dream he talks about. So Sue, at her wit's end, goes downstairs to Behrman. He's supposed to be posing for her as an old miner for one of her paintings, and she just lets it all out and tells him about Jhansi's crazy idea about the last leaf. At first, he just scoffs at it, calls it nonsense, but you can tell he's worried because he agrees to come up and see Jhansi. And then that night, a really vicious storm hits. We're talking heavy rain, freezing wind, just a brutal assault on everything outside. And of course, a relentless attack on that one single last leaf. So now, everything comes down to this one question. Jhansi is literally waiting for it to fall so she can die. Sue is absolutely terrified to see what the morning brings. I mean, is there any way at all, that a tiny leaf can survive a storm like that?
So the next morning comes. Jhansi, her voice just a whisper, tells Sue to open the curtains. And you can just feel Sue's heart pounding. She's so scared of what she's about to see. She slowly, reluctantly draws back the curtains.
And it's still there. It's just there. After that whole night of wind and rain, one last ivy leaf is still clinging to the vine, defiantly green against the brick. And seeing that leaf, it just flips a switch in Jhansi. It's a total turning point. She calls herself a bad girl and realizes that something must have made that leaf stay there, just to show her how wrong it is to want to die. And just like that, her will to live comes rushing back. She asks for soup, she asks for a mirror, she wants to engage with life again. And before long, the doctor comes and says, yep, she's going to make it.
Okay, so Jhansi is on the road to recovery.
But this is where the story takes a really tragic turn, because that little miracle, it came at a cost. And now we're about to find out exactly what that price was.
The doctor comes back, and he has some other news. It's about old Mr. Behrman. He's caught pneumonia too. They found him helpless in his room, and the doctor says there's no hope for him. He dies just 2 days later.
And then Sue starts to put all the clues together for Johnsy. It's almost like a little detective story. First, the janitor found Behrman, and his clothes and shoes were soaking wet and ice cold. Then, over in a corner of his room, they found a ladder, a lantern that was still lit, and on the floor some brushes and a palette mixed with green and yellow paint.
Sue then tells Johnsy, "Look out the window. Look at that leaf one more time." And she asks her, "Haven't you ever wondered why it doesn't move? It never flutters, not even when the wind blows."
And then comes the final, absolutely heartbreaking reveal. That leaf, it isn't real. The actual last leaf fell that night during the storm. And Behrman, he went out into that freezing rain, dragged a ladder over to the wall, and painted a leaf there for her to see. That masterpiece he dreamed of for 40 years, he finally painted it. It wasn't on a canvas, it was on a brick wall, and it saved Johnsy's life, but it cost him his.
You know, Behrman's masterpiece will never hang in a fancy gallery. No art critic is ever going to praise it. Its only audience was one sick young woman looking out her window. But it did something most art can only dream of. It gave her back her life. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What is the true measure of a masterpiece? Is it the fame or the technique, or is it the life it inspires?